The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 16th day of January 2024, and welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. And hi, I'm Maya Palacio. So as you noticed today, I am hosting on the show, first time ever. And yeah, I don't have a co-host either. So this is me introducing me to you again for 2024. All right, so greetings, everyone, and thank you for making us a part of your daily routine. A good one this morning as we welcome the Commissioner of the Police, Mr. Darrin Simons, to the show. The Daily Outplay is a Remember When, so get ready for that. As I have no co-host, you'll have a chance to actually be put into a draw to win on Friday. So don't forget to subscribe to our website and follow us on all our social channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us go beyond the mic as we do our part to improve the community. Welcome, everyone, to the show. Alrighty, so we're going to kick off this morning with the news break. We're going to throw it over to Maya. Good morning. This is your Daily Hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting off the news this morning, the Bermuda Police Service has commenced an investigation into the discovery of multiple cannabis cultivation plots in the eastern end of the island. Police were alerted to the location of a growing site in the St. George's area on Friday, January the 12th, 2024. Officers attended the location and further inquiries led to the discovery of additional sites. 138 mature plants have been seized so far, and the investigation to the matter remains ongoing. They urge anyone with information about cannabis cultivation or drug supply in their community to call the main police number at 295-0011. And in other news, the opposition Senator Dwayne Robinson called to attention the fact that questions about the cyber attack has still yet to be answered. He said, quote, Bermuda was hit with a crippling cyber attack last September, and the government of Bermuda is yet to confirm with the public whether personal data was compromised. The One Bermuda Alliance has repeatedly called for the government to give the people of Bermuda the answers they deserve. The last time we tried to seek a clear response, the government Senate leader stymied the opposition Senator Doug Ducuto, citing Order 65-4F of the Senate Standing Order, which states that a question shall not seek information about any matter which is of its nature secret. Senator Robinson said, I understand why the government must keep the particulars of the investigation a secret. However, people have the right to know if their personal data was exposed. He closed by saying a statement from the government assured Bermudians that a full inquiry will be made and the findings will be made public. A welcome pledge, however, without any concrete dates or movement on the parliamentary committee formation. It's slippery lip service. Meanwhile, the Bermuda College alongside ABEAR and St. John's University have put together a selection of reinsurance webinars for anyone for free in the community and the global community as well, and also for a certificate for students for a sum.
Last count, over 300 people had signed up for the course. I'm thinking that by now, we're knocking on the door of 400. The course lasts 14 weeks, so the first class is Monday coming. That's January the 15th. And of course, It's going to be a lot of fanfare. We've got Minister Jason Haywood coming. We've got the American Consul General coming. So, we're going to have a pretty cool discussion about the socioeconomic impact of international business, or the socioeconomic impact of international business on Bermuda.
And in some more community news, Uplift Bermuda has opened up their second location. I spoke to one of the co-owners about the second location and also what they plan to do for 2024, which she says has a lot to do with educating the community and people who need to know about the decriminalization law that came into effect.
One thing great that the party has done in power is decriminalize cannabis. So we are able to have our record expunged. So that's something I want to talk about, because a lot of people don't know that they can get their record expunged, because a lot of people are on the stop list for having a couple of grams on their person. So we want to just educate people and show them how they can fill out that process and get their record expunged.
And to wrap up our news with some sports, Erica Howley's interview that I did with her is up on media-maya.com. I spoke to triathletes about her recent performances and also the first place medal that she won over the weekend at the 10K for BFNM.
And you had the 441 on your chest, and you came first with the women's, and you did an impressive time. It was like, what, 37 minutes? 9th overall. How does it feel?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I don't have many opportunities to race at home, and it's definitely special. I didn't even pick up on the number until I'm running and some guy's like, hey, that's my area code. And I'm like, yes, okay. And then I was laughing. And I think, yeah, you just can't replicate that anywhere, of just kind of being a Bermudian and racing at home.
For more information on these stories, you can go to media-maya.com or at Media Maya. Now let's throw it back to Maya in the studio.
Sorry, I heard that I was on mute. I apologize for that. Thank you, Maya, for that news break. And thank you, everyone, for being here. We got some comments that came on the screen. So just throwing it back over. Thank you, everyone, for having me. And such kind words that you guys are saying. You got this, Maya. Welcome back. Really appreciate it. Susan Ingram with the, you're doing a great job already. It will be a great show, Maya. Thank you so much, guys, for giving me props, as this is, the first show that I've done by myself. So I appreciate it so much. Charles H. Jefferson, for the news break, said, yes, Senator Robertson is correct. The people deserve to know. That was a story in the news break with Senator Robertson about just the fact that, the cyber attack has happened. It still is under investigation, though. So that's something that we also still have to be mindful of. So not much still can be shared. But he's saying that even though it is under investigation, there are some things that can be known to the public right now. Those are his words that he said should be happening. As well as in the news break, you would have saw Bermuda College is also putting up these webinars on reinsurance. You could actually apply if you wish to. Again, it's free if you go to the Bermuda College website to take part in these. I think it's a 14-week program, and it's every Monday, 2 hours. You get to learn some more information. Again, super free and just super great to have that education basis. Even if you're not into reinsurance, it's just great to know how it actually affects our island, because we are pretty big hitters on reinsurance in Bermuda, especially for as small as we are. And again, uplift Bermuda as well with the new location on Front Street. So some things to dig into, and the news stories of sports that are on my channel. I also did get to speak with Dej Miners last night. You may have caught that on my Instagram Live. And that was such a great conversation too. Dej has done amazing performances. And again, just one of our athletes that are trying to make it to that 2024 Olympics. A lot of our athletes actually won't know that they'll be qualifying for the Olympics till way later down the line. Right now, we have one person who has qualified, and that's Adriana Peneldock for sailing. We know we're going to get Dame Flora Duffy in there too. So we could count on us having two at minimum, but I think we're going to get a lot more in the 2020 Olympics. We actually did only have 2 athletes in that competing, but we got some really good hitters right now. We could do more probably in sailing, definitely more triathletes. Janai Panchief might be coming in for some triple jump, and Dej Miners, as we know, for the 1500 meters, still working on that. Maybe Caitlin Bob. We're still looking at those type of stats too and those figures. So good luck to the athletes out there who are still trying to qualify for that 2024 Olympics as well. So that's something to look out for too. All right, just looking at the comments there. Great. So thank you everyone for staying with you right now for the show. We have the Commissioner of Police, Darrin Simons, coming on. So if you have any questions for the Commissioner, please feel free to drop them in the comments so I can get to them as well alongside my questions that I have for you today. All right, so like I said, we got some days of the year coming up. So today, day of the year is, drumroll, International Hot and Spicy Food Day. So I guess in the comments, you guys can let me know what food is your favorite, what hot and spicy food do you guys like the most. This says in the comments, for one red hot day a year, the world's chili heads, hot seekers, extreme eaters can take their passion to extremes. International Hot and Spicy Food Day sparks a wildfire of events from habanero eating challenges to fancy dress contests and cook-offs of popular recipes. So I guess you could also drop what your favorite hot sauce is. I know we get a lot that actually get made on the island. So if you have someone to pick up in the comments of a business who actually makes some hot sauces, do that too. I would say my favorite hot and spicy food, because I don't have a co-host to ask, probably have to be Indian food. I do love a good Indian cuisine, a good medium, not too much. But, drop in the comments, tell me what your favorite hot and spicy food is, and I'll share it on the screen as well. All right, so we're going to drop it over now and swing to a commercial, and then we're going to get the commissioner, Darrin Simons, in for the show.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's next.
All right. So welcome back to the show, the big show. I'm Maya Palacio. It's a daily hour brought to you by BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Linda's, People's Pharmacy. Don't forget to subscribe to our website and also follow us on all our social media channels. You can stay up to date on exactly what's going on the show. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to improve the community. So again, if you're tapping in right now, don't forget to share this conversation, because we're going to bring in the Commissioner of Police, Darrin Simons, very shortly. Looking at you guys' comments here, let's take a look at what you guys consider your most favorite hot and spicy foods. So you got Susan Ingram saying, yep, tikka masala, the spicier the better. I'm not going to go all the way on the spice there, but I love a good tikka masala, vegetable kind for me. We got Ebony Souza says, the Bermuda Jam Factory used to make the best pepper jellies, great on anything and a perfect kick. Nice. And last one here, we got Karen Siblings, who says Bermuda pepper jam as well. All right, cool. So I guess a lot of people actually were into that Bermuda pepper jam. I wonder if you do know if they're still, giving things out or selling it somewhere. Drop it in the comments if they're still around. All right, so we're going to welcome in the commissioner. And just a reminder to send any questions through, comment any questions as we go along with this discussion. Let's welcome the commissioner in.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. Love to come into the great cheers from the crowd. I wish that was an everyday experience.
We can't all be that lucky, No,
absolutely not. Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Excellent.
Really appreciate you being here today. So I want to just jump right into the conversation, but I guess you could actually just start out with telling us, how is the new year going so far with, within the police commission?
I think, the new year started off, a bit tragically, I think, with the most recent road traffic fatality, especially given the age of the people who passed away. Besides that, we welcome the new year in, and we're off and running, making Bermuda safer.
All right, so just a clarification there for what you just said. I know you said the people. I do recall that there was a 17-year-old person. I knew there's someone still in ICU. So just confirm you're still just one, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Just wanted to get that clarity.
Thank you. Apologies, yeah.
No problem at all. All right, so we're going to move on to actually my first question. I think it's on the top of everyone's mind still, as the case has, even though it's closed, I know Kamal Wall was found guilty, but we still got a long way to go when it comes to convictions. But starting off just by talking about that case, now that Kamal Wall has been found guilty, will the search for Chevelle Dillon's body still continue?
Right. So the search for Chevelle's body never ended. So it's something that's ongoing. I mean, clearly the level of resourcing that was put into it when it was a missing person is different from where it is today. But we obviously have a very keen interest in bringing some closure to that particular matter. And yes, if anybody knows any information, we're welcoming. We welcome that. Reach out to, if you know a police officer, make sure you share that information with him. You can always call Crime Stoppers or go to our anonymous online reporting portal to share information.
Thank you so much for that. Question again, just going on more about it. When your whole community inside the police station heard the verdict, what was the response like within your community, within the station?
I think everybody was, very grateful for the conviction. Something obviously we had a view where the investigations took us to a particular place, a particular perspective that, Mr. Worrell was implicated in the matter, and to get a successful conviction in a case where there is no body is a first for Bermuda. Obviously, that took a lot of work. It's a multi-agency approach. You've got the police in particular, the DPP in particular, to bring that case before the jury. But obviously, the community played a significant role in getting to where we got with that. So overall, there really was a sense of pride at that particular conviction.
Nice. And one more question just about the whole case in itself. Like, how does this actually, help others feel more confident in coming forward and speaking up? Do you think there's going to be a drastic difference in people actually coming to the police for assistance in these matters?
I think sort of changes in the confidence in police happen over time, but I think without a doubt the community should have a sense that we are tenacious and we doggedly sort of pursue wrongdoing. So I think that should bring a measure of comfort to people who, in particular, who are victims in the domestic abuse space. That we are here to help them, we're here to make them safe, and that perpetrators will be brought to justice.
Thank you for that. Yeah, because I know in these cases, and I remember even speaking on it on Media Maya a lot, that do people feel confident with going to police? What are some things that maybe you haven't gone to? And because we're such a small island, I know that makes a big difference in whether or not people feel confident enough to come forward and speak up. So in a case like this, I'm curious to know, like, if there will be changes, if you guys feel like there will be, would you, I don't want to say put out those statistics right away, but if you notice a drastic difference, I'm curious to see how this year goes.
Yep. So actually, we do have some statistics on reported domestic abuse case. So within our systems, we have like a tick box, and if the incident is connected to domestic abuse, officers should be ticking that box so that it just helps us count. So in 2022, there were 355 domestic abuse cases reported. In 2023, that number actually went up to 370. Now, that could be an indication of some increase in confidence. It could be just genuinely there were more incidents of domestic abuse, more incidents that were reported to us. In 2023, actually, we did quite a bit of work around domestic abuse internally. We have done some additional training to raise officers' understanding about what domestic abuse is and how to respond appropriately, and also with our partners, and just trying to have a more joined up approach in terms of our response to domestic abuse.
Yeah, 'cause I recall you guys did something with the Center Against Abuse, if I'm correct, and they actually did some of the classes with you guys for that.
Yep. And Safe Lives from the UK, working with Minister Tanae Ferber, just in terms of trying to look at a whole systems approach and how we can be more joined up across government in our response to domestic abuse. Because very often you had sort of different agencies that had a sense of or knew what was going on or had a piece of the puzzle. We're really trying to ensure that everybody's talking to each other so that we have our best foot forward and best response to this, very pressing issue.
Thank you. I see some questions coming in. We're definitely going to get to them. Just going to move on a little bit with just asking about, let's go on to some gun violence, because 2023 had quite a bit. I know you actually have some statistics that you'd like to show us. Would you be able to bring that up on screen and we can talk about those stats that are on the screen? There they are.
Yeah, so this it's a little confusing to just take when you see it initially. So you've got yellow that represents going by quarter, year, and then by quarter the amount of firearms injuries. The red is firearms fatalities. The blue line that you see is a measure of homicides, and the green line is the measure of injuries from bladed articles. So you can see the rise and fall of the line. In particularly, we were concerned in 2023 about the rise in the use of bladed articles. So in other words, a knife, effectively, right? Yeah, comparatively speaking, there were 4 murders in 2023, which is compared to 9 in 2022. So, obviously that was better. 1 is more than we would like to see, but there is definitely an improvement in 2023. And the graph sort of shows where there's some reductions in 2023 in the amount of firearms injuries and obviously fatalities.
That is a lot for injuries. I'm looking at that green line. It's way up there for 2023. Do you know on hand the age ranges of persons who have been most frequently using these bladed weapons?
Using. Okay. So you said using. I was going to say victims. I think the youngest victim in the bladed article space was 15, I believe, and the oldest is going to be maybe in the 50s or 40s. So we are seeing quite a gap. Not a gap, but a range of ages of people that are using knives or bladed articles, as we refer to them. And it's a bit of a disturbing trend to see the rise, and we're not exactly sure why. It's something that's mirrored in the UK, just the increase of the use of bladed articles. In particular, it's quite topical. Some of the hypothesis in the change is one, just the propensity for violence post-COVID. There's a lot of sort of research and talk around the impact of COVID that's had on societies in terms of violence. And I think when we're talking about the criminal use, when there is efforts around the police to bring convictions where firearms are used with heavy sentencing, that can sometimes influence people's behavior.
Wow. I remember you guys did put out a picture image, which I had it with me right now, that showed some of the bladed articles that were used. I believe it was in the year of 2023. I think it was the early periods as well. And I'm just thinking about, just like you said, the behaviors and things have definitely changed again after COVID as well. But are you guys still going into the schools? I do recall that you were just talking about these things, and how are you educating the community, or maybe trying to get this, combat this issue?
So occasionally we do media releases, and we are into the schools, not as frequently as we used to, certainly not as frequently as we would like to. Our numbers are just getting so low that we need to prioritize our responses, our emergency response. We just don't have the staffing levels to do quite the same amount of school visits that we used to do historically. But it is a message that we are getting out there, particularly, in the media post events. And it is a little bit of a worrying trend when we just see. So the criminal use of the bladed article is something that obviously we've seen for a little bit. There's been a couple of incidents where people, there's particularly one incident that came to our attention where somebody's just driving along and it was involved in an accident. So there was no sort of gang tensions at play at this, and it was an older gentleman that took out a knife and sort of threatened the individual who was there. Now that kind of behavior you just not accustomed to seeing or even hearing about in Bermuda. So it's something that we're very much aware of. Yeah.
Wow. Can you, if you know offhand, what are the consequences or the convictions for having a bladed article weapon on your person?
Well, it's going to be the full gamut between just simple possession. So obviously, possession of a bladed article is an offense for which somebody would go to court, and then the criminal use of that. So there's a range of offenses, range of sentencing that can occur as a result of the criminal use. It's very difficult to say exactly what that offense is likely to be, but you could be looking at, certainly if you've used it, a couple of years of incarceration.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay, I'm going to throw it over to some of the questions that we're getting from the community, so I don't go past you guys. I want to make sure we get everyone's questions answered. So the first one coming in from Traveling Party is there a possibility of the police cadet program making a comeback?
So the actual police cadet program, certainly it's not on the horizon, but the Ministry of National Security is looking at what is effectively a similar type program, but across the ministry, and exposing young people to all of the uniformed services and putting some training and education programs in place that would prepare individuals to enter any one of the uniformed services. So just making sure that they've reached the level in terms of their education and fitness, in particular discipline, that kind of stuff, so that they're able to join any of the uniformed services. The reality is all of our uniformed services are struggling for people.
Okay, well, let's jump into that a little bit more, because I know we're going to talk about it later, but let's just talk about it now. Recruitment and trying to get people into the Bermuda Police. Like, what's the numbers looking like there? You said they're getting lower. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so right now we're sitting at 370 officers, and I like to compare that to when I joined way back, 30 odd years ago. We had 489 officers, so that's a significant difference between what was and what is now. What's also interesting is that 20% of the organization is 55 or older, so that they've already reached the retirement age. I mean, government are considering and are genuinely moving towards raising the retirement age, but it's still significant. 20% of the organization is at the retirement age, and 43% of the organization are 50 and over. So that means the minimum retirement age for a police officer, or most of the uniformed services, is 50 years of age. So 43% of the organization could consider or think about retiring at a moment's notice. So we are always recruiting. Not that the portal's open for people to put in an application, but there's always sort of processes in place to work towards recruiting, and we should have another course starting before the end of first quarter 2024. That's obviously well into play, and that course is probably going to have in the region of 15 people. 15 people, even without accounting for attrition, isn't going to take us up to our 420 that we've kind of agreed with government is the requirement. So there will be some another Recruit Foundation course, and people will see that advertised, and I encourage them to employ. And the reality is we're going to have to go overseas, because we know from historical trends that we will not meet our recruitment demand from the local market. So that you'll hear about the community, you'll hear about that in due course.
Well, I'm curious to know now, like, is it like when it comes to recruitment, why can't you just leave the portal open extensively for people to like apply whenever they have the time or wish to? Like, why is there such a short period where you have it out and close it? Wouldn't it make more sense to keep it open so that you get more recruits?
I agree with you. So interestingly enough, so I'm not personally involved with recruiting day in and day out. And I was many, many years ago, and that was my understanding. You could just come in and apply at any point in time. We'd keep your application. But a couple of years ago, we switched over to the government HR portal. And as I understand it, it's just not set up in a way where you can continuously drop off or fill in applications online. So it's a question that I have very recently raised for the exact same reasons that you have. It just seems to make sense. If we can get that application in, we could recontact that individual, really realistically manage their expectations in terms of when the next course is coming on. But we're having a more engaged conversation at that point in time. So I don't have the specific answers why, but I do know it is as a result of moving to the government HR portal and how that portal is set up and or works. There's an opening date and a closing date, and then applications are no longer, you can't submit that application, but it's something that we're looking into just to see if there's another system or some additional changes to that process.
Yeah,
because I agree with you.
Okay, because in my mind, I'm just like, wouldn't it make sense? Especially before we look to see if we have to get people from overseas, we got to do as much as we can to try to get people here on our island to fulfill these roles. And so it just would make sense to keep it open as long as possible, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. So I think in terms of meeting our needs through the local market, we've really been at that for quite some time. So we know that on average, the market can support in that 15 a year. So we can project that 15 a year will simply not meet the demand. This previous round of applications, I think it's the previous two, definitely if the previous one, we opened it up to non-Bermudian residents, and even then that ticked it up a little bit, but hasn't. There's just no way that we're going to meet the demand through either Bermudian or Bermudian residents at this point in time. And I think when you look globally, there are shortages of police officers. So we're not alone in that struggle. And we just know that historically in that 15 or so a year is what we've been able to manage for a long period of time.
Well, do you have any reasons from people that you may have asked to recruit and they said no? What are the reasons that people are giving?
So the reasons, people... we generally will encounter people who have applied and not successful, as opposed to the masses who, for example, say they don't want to be a police officer. I think a lot of people have misconceptions about what a day in the life of the police officer looks like. I think people think about the fact that we are a close-knit family and you're policing your brothers, cousins, uncles, and that kind of thing, and the closeness of the community is something that people might feel uncomfortable with or might take them away from policing. But I think just generally there's some misconceptions about what a day in the life or a career for a police officer looks like. So let me add in a plug. I tell everybody that if I circled back around and reincarnation was a thing, I would come back and be a police officer. And in fact, I would join the Bermuda Police. I have just loved my 30-year career. I remember as a new officer very year that thinking that I can't believe people pay me to do this job. And so I think it's a very rewarding career. And the beauty thing about policing is that there are multiple careers within a career. So, you might start off patrol, you might go into investigations, and there are so many niches within policing that there really is something for everybody. And even those individuals who are kind of sort of timid as they begin their career, as they progress very quickly, as they progress, they become more assertive, and there just really are some opportunities that a career in policing can do to sort of, I think, enhance character and personality and ability to, just sort of deal with life that are beyond the career, beyond the actual career.
Well, I look forward to hearing maybe some of those marketing things that help to debunk what people may already think about the police service. All right, let's try to move on to some of these questions, get you guys questions through. I think you may have answered this one, but I'm just going to pull it up again. Karen Simmons says, is the DAR program still occurring in the schools? Was it in the public and private schools? I think that was the name of it.
So not DARE. We used to have it was called GREAT, the Great Gang Resistance education and training, I think is the what the acronym stands for. So we do not have that formal program that really just, it became a resourcing piece. We are looking at some other programs that might not be quite as resource intensive, where officers might say, for example, in the next 3 months, I require sort of 7 1-hour inputs and just working people through a program that might be around anti-gang, it might be around driver education, it might be dealing with drug issues, peer pressure, social media stuff. So we're looking at another type of program that not quite as resources, that allows us to be engaged more with the schools. A lot of that really does depend on resourcing levels.
All right, thank you for that. All right, next question that came up from Ms. Ebony Souza. What, if anything, is being done to deter stalker behavior? It's a good one. What penalties are being enforced? These baby steps to crimes against women seem to fall through the cracks too often.
So let me just sort of start off by saying at a very high level that we take domestic abuse, stalking, all those types of behaviors that happen in the context, often in the context of relationships, but anything, sort of intruding on their privacy, any type of aggressive behavior, we take that type of criminality very serious. And I really encourage anyone who is the victim of that or experiencing that to come forward and bring it to our attention. We have a number of ways of beginning to progress those investigations, and we work with people to sort of make sure they understand what's going on and that we're not moving too fast according to what they're able to tolerate at a given time. So we try and work with people, and I really want to encourage people to come forward. So the penalties for these kinds of these types of incidents really do span the gamut to from no period of incarceration, suspended sentences on the absolute lighter end, and on the tougher end, you're talking about periods of significant periods of incarceration where the judge or magistrate deems it appropriate in circumstances. It is really difficult to say. I think the important part is that people come forward and we begin to sort of investigate and respond to these incidents so that people can be safer.
All right, thank you for that. And next up, we got one come from Traveling Trotty. They ask, how are officers trained to handle situations involving mental health crises or to de-escalate or the de-escalating techniques?
Yeah. So actually, this past year, that's some of the training that we've had, and over the past couple of years, sort of mental health challenges mental health issues within the community have risen, and the demands on policing to respond to incidents of mental health have been on the rise, and they're quite sort of time consuming for us. A lot of people don't know when we respond to significant issues of mental health, where clearly somebody's in need of help, that can take hours of the police while we're sitting at the emergency with an individual for them to be assessed. So officers are trained in recognizing and responding to people who are having mental health crises, because sometimes it could be the moment life's events have brought an individual to a space, or they could be, just years of sort of mental health issues. And officers are trained in how to be sensitive and respond appropriately in those kinds of circumstances.
All right, thank you.
And I think, I just want to say, I think relative to other jurisdictions, if you look at how the Bermuda Police Service responds holistically to these, I think you'll find that we have a very professional, sensitive response to dealing with people who are in mental health crises, particularly when you compare us to other jurisdictions.
Where can we find those type of stats to give us that information?
It's not so much a statistic as you look at the sort of just the character and what's portrayed in the media in terms of just responses to mental health, and how one society or police in one society respond versus us. And I think that could just be said just generally across the board in terms of how the Bermuda police respond. When you look at the types of complaints we get, very few of them are for like officers abusing their authority or excessive force. And I think that's because culturally in Bermuda, we just don't have those same challenges. Not that they never happen, but comparatively speaking, and it's one of the things that I'm particularly proud of, that Bermuda police treat people fairly.
All right, thank you. Oh no, we have some questions, but I think you answered these already. Where it's like, why is there a struggle to recruit? You went over that as well. And then someone also asked, Chief, when recruiting, do you tell people of the different career options available? You did tell us that as well. We have a comment here from Miss Hollis. And she says maybe they can bring back some of their retired officers to go into the schools, or maybe even possibly do some workshops, she says. So that's a question there. Now, I want to...
And we do. So when people go 55, we very often, we bring them back. That's why, 20% of our organization is filled with people who've effectively retired and come back between 55 and 60. So we're very much keen to do that.
Amazing. Now, I just have a couple more questions before we close it out and thank the commissioner. But if anyone has any more, just drop it in real quickly. If we're able to get to it, we will. But my question, we're going to just talk a little bit about the arrest for impaired driving in 2023, the highest since from 2021, 2022, 2023 was the highest amount of arrests for impaired driving in Bermuda. And I know you guys speak about it often. In every press release, you're basically begging the community to do better and to be safer. Now, what outside of speaking to the community, or what else can be done within ourselves in our own homes to help these, traffic offenses get less? Like, is there something that we could do with the roads, with our own people, what we could talk about in schools? Like, what does the police think about things like that?
Well, you are correct. So this year, 2023, we had 264 arrests for impaired driving. And overall in 2023, we had 2,078 arrests generally, and that compares to 2,000. I've got a statistic, 2,454 in 2022. But definitely, the impaired driving is up a little bit, and there really is an opportunity for the community to just think about their attitudes and what they do in terms of drinking and driving. So a lot of people, when we start this message about impaired driving, they think, well, the answer to this is simply, abstinence, no alcohol at all. What we're trying to really, the message we really want to get out is responsible behavior in relation to the consumption of alcohol. So if you're going to have a drink, don't drive. It's as simple as that. And we just really need to culturally get that message out. If you go back to the UK, maybe 20 years ago, there was a real sort of culture of drinking and driving, but over a sustained period, they've really changed that culture. And not that people don't drink and drive at all, like in the UK. But if you drink and drive, just the sense within your colleagues and partners is that, hey, you've really done something that's wrong and that's inappropriate. And I don't think we have that sense within the community that there's still a sense that it's okay to drink and drive. And we really need to work at changing that. And I think some of that is, conversations that we have, media that we have, and maybe increasing the consequences related to the offense of drinking and driving. But we just need to shift that dial where people do not think it's okay to drink and drive, where you're in the bar and enjoying a beverage, you're about to leave and somebody says, hey, no, you've had something to drink, you can't drive. So I think there's some opportunities there, and clearly from an enforcement perspective, I think the Bermuda Police Service are out there doing their part for the enforcement perspective.
What about with the Bermuda Road Safety Council? Because they talk about some things as well. Is there any partnerships, any workshops that you guys are planning to maybe do together for 2024 or something?
So I know the Road Safety Council they get funding for media campaigns that they do. So if I see them on YouTube in particular, you'll see some ads that they come out. So I think that they play a significant role in raising the public's awareness and help shifting attitudes towards drinking and driving, and they are very much a partner of ours.
Anything that you have in particular, just to maybe to shift on the roads in Bermuda? Because obviously we had huge torrential rains and we have so many potholes. That could be an added increase as to why we have so many collisions as well. Anything that you probably want to see within the roads being done in Bermuda to help?
So we talk about the 3 E's around road traffic fatalities, enforcement, engineering, and education. So engineering would speak to road design, vehicle design, that, positive changes in those domains can cause reductions in the amount of road traffic fatalities. I think the key role for the Bermuda Police Service really is around enforcement and some education, and we are doing our part in there to get the message out and constantly say, hey, slow down. The top 2 reasons for around road traffic fatalities are going to be speed and alcohol. So if people, sorry, did you say inattention?
Yes.
Yeah, so inattention is an issue, but it doesn't tend to play out in traffic fatalities. So if you look at, the sheer numbers of accidents, I actually did have. So in 2023, there were 1,075 accidents. That compares favorably to the previous year in 2022 of 1,363. So there's a reduction in the total amount of accidents, sadly, that didn't correspond to the amount of fatalities, because in 2022 there were 11 and in 2023 there were 13. So it doesn't always correlate nicely, but clearly if there's less accidents, there should be, certainly over a period of time, less fatalities. But top 2 reasons, speed and alcohol, where fatalities are concerned. Inattention tends to play more of a role in your less serious accidents.
All right, nice. Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate it. Let's jump into this last question, then I'm going to have one more question for myself. Mr. Sean Smith says, Chief, does the service have any plans to reduce their carbon footprint? For example, adding electric vehicles to its fleet?
So plans. So we have been looking at that issue. We've been looking at that opportunity for several years now. The challenge that we have around the adoption of electric vehicles really is that many of our vehicles are on the road 24 hours and need to go. So they do not have the opportunities for the rest periods that an electric vehicle would require. However, technology is getting better where the charging periods are less. And notwithstanding that, there are vehicles that we do not have that sort of 24-hour demand. And I anticipate that at a point in time, we will look to adopt some electric vehicles. The other piece around that is when you're talking about a fleet, right? It's not just one vehicle. Oh, it's now electric and not gas. You also then need to look at, well, who's fixing that vehicle? So we have mechanics. They would need to be trained in that new technology. So those are just some of the things that need to be considered. It's not just a simple decision of, oh, electric vehicles are out there, why don't we all use electric vehicles? When you talk about an entire fleet needing to make that transition, or even the steps along the way, there are some factors that need to be carefully considered.
Yeah, that was I was curious too, because I know that there's charging times. There's, you got to have them go as fast as you possibly can sometimes. So I got one comment actually came from Susan Ingram saying, please forget the electric vehicles. Please don't get them. No. So I guess we have to have a deeper discussion on that one. Everyone's got their opinions on the electric vehicles. Okay, so I want to ask sort of a fun question, but how do you guys come up with the names for your operations? I saw Operation Azkaban once I put out there. So how do you guys come up with these names that you do for the operations?
So that's an interesting one, because so over the years, what we used to do is allow individual officers to kind of come up with their own operation names, right? And some of those operations names were not appropriate, we kind of thought. And so we just moved to a standardization system where there's a gentleman in our intelligence department, and he just generates random names. Now, very often we go maybe rivers, mountains, those kinds of domains for the names, but essentially they are randomly generated. And every now and again, actually, I'll have to say, no, look, we're not using that op name. Let's just find another one, because either the name's too long, can't be pronounced, and et cetera, et cetera. But it is kind of interesting, just the evolution of the op names that we have. Truth be told, they are randomly generated. That's just the next one on the list. But there are very often themes in the names, like, for the next 6 months, it might be rivers, mountains, things like that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. I thought there's some genuine thought put into it. I'm like, why would they pick this super hard word to pronounce the name for me to say on the news?
Well, sometimes I ask that question myself. Why is this so complicated? We used to what used to be an awful lot of thought that was put into it. But sometimes when op names have to become public, right? So, Thor, Trojan horse, we used to have things like that. And just sometimes the connotations, people just didn't fully appreciate the impact that might have on the public hearing some of those op names. So we just tried to desensitize that and go to a more random kind of name that we didn't think would cause different sort of feelings and or perspectives within the community.
Keeping it unbiased and just straight.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I want to close out just by asking, is there anything that you may want to mention to the community for things that maybe people should be looking out for in terms of like being more safe or cautious about some trends that you might be seeing?
Actually, I just said my mom is always telling me I say too many times. So I think just if we're talking about a bit of concerning trends, recently there's been some smash and grab kind of criminality that we're concerned about. We made a significant amount of arrests in the mid 2023, and just even in 2024, there's been one particularly notable incident. So we're going to be working with not the corporation, but the city of Hamilton, some of the vendors that are in that area, the business people in that area, to see what we can do to make their businesses safer and just work together to improve quicker response times, and more opportunities to collect evidence from those events, just so that we can really reduce the incidents. I think beyond that, I really, one of the messages that I really want to get out, or continuously get out, is that policing is a partnership. So obviously the Bermuda Police Service are, sort of lead partners in that, but really we need the entire community to get behind us. And, anytime we have success, it really is community success. So the Bermuda Police Service success is your success, is the community's success. And we need to work together to address criminality before it happens in terms of changing attitudes, and after it happens in terms of catching and convicting. We need to work together to address and solve these crimes. We can't do it without you at the end of the day. And I want to thank the community who have been continuously sort of coming forward. We would always ask for more. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank the 500 odd devoted women and men in the Bermuda Police Service. When we think of police officers, support staff, reserves, that are all involved directly in making Bermuda safer.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. If anyone, again, wants to apply, I saw that there was a comment over here from the Bermuda Police Service. If you're interested in becoming a police officer, there's some information there for you to also check out as well. Thank you, Commissioner, for being here today. Really appreciate your time and for giving us some more insight and information. And also just want to close it out by reminding the public that, still looking for Miss Sophia Securi as well. If you have any information or know about her whereabouts, please contact the police or other numbers or talk to officer that you also know and trust and can confide in as well.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, Maya, and excellent job, well done on your first solo flight.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. You have a great day.
You too. All right, everyone. If you enjoyed that conversation, please feel free to drop us a love, a like, share it with somebody, and try to get more of this information out to the wider public. I think it's good to have these stats, great to have these conversations. As we know, as you talk about, recruitment is definitely down. If you know someone who's interested, try to get in contact and maybe even, hey, question about why not they can't keep this open for longer and only have a specific time period piece, as the commissioner did mention. So we're going to throw it over to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and do the Remember When.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Let's kick it off in the footwear department. When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic, and waterproof shoes. We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone. With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talks, and DeWalt. The list goes on. Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Pair with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can't be stylish and comfortable at the same time? Speaking of stylish, we also have top-quality running, walking, and workout apparel by Skechers in a variety of sizes for men and women. Cool, breathable, and dry. With our wide selection of Skechers footwear, you'll look great before, during, and after your workout. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
You'll be surprised at everything we have to offer at our huge new retail and wholesale location on Bakery Lane.
Okay, everyone, so it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Okay, so whoever wins this gets to be put in the draw for Friday to get a chance to win a pretty nice prize. So let's see what the Daily Play is again, because I don't have a co-host. You may have a chance to win something. So get ready. Remember, the first comment that comes up is the one that wins this. Again, it's a remember when. A remember when. Okay, so the question: which two superpowers had a rivalry from 1945 to 1991 called the Cold War? I don't have that music that. Have any responses just yet? So it called those as the answers. I don't know, that's not exactly what it says on my paper. Should I throw it over to my producers to let me know? Oh, I think I see it. Yep, saw it finally. All right, Karen Simmons, everyone got it right. The answer is the Soviet Union and the United States. Got a lot of other responses, but sorry guys, you weren't actually correct. So Karen Simmons, your name is going to be put in a draw to win for Friday, potential to win a nice prize on Friday. So congratulations to you. All right, we're going to throw it over to the daily inspiration of the day. The daily inspiration of the day is, quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." And that comes from Martin Luther King Jr. As you know, it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day yesterday. So that's a great quote there. Again, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, which is a great one to leave off, as we just had the commissioner on. If you see something, say something. Make sure you do that, everyone. Okay, so closing out today, I just want to thank everyone who stayed in and did this show with me. Really appreciate you guys putting in your questions. Really appreciate you guys coming through and just giving love for the show this morning. Don't forget to subscribe on our website and follow us on all our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us go beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. So thanks again to our partners at BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Linda's, and of course, People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you so much. We love you, and we thank you for making us a part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back again to do this with you tomorrow. I'm Maya Palacio. Please drive safely, Bermuda.